Hi there, JKS Plays here, welcoming you to my very first Pokemon Gaming Shiny Badge Quest, with the game of choice being Pokemon Violet. Shiny Badge Quests are a common thing among shiny hunters within the Pokemon community, with the number one rule being quite simple. You can't challenge for a badge until you catch a shiny Pokemon. In the first 8 generations of Pokemon gaming, you would need to catch 8 shinies to challenge for 8 gym badges, but Generation 9 raised the stakes. In Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, there are 18 badges to collect, one for each type, all within the confines of the Paldea region and their 3 different storylines: Victory Road, Operation Starfall, and the Path of Legends. The ultimate goal is to catch 18 shiny Pokemon within the 3 stories, then take the best 6 possible with you on the way home in order to challenge and defeat the final boss. In order to begin a shiny badge quest in any Pokemon game from generations 2 through 7, you would need to toil for hours in order to get yourself a shiny starter. Unfortunately, all the starters in Scarlet and Violet are shiny locked. But I decided to make my first ever Pokemon Gaming Shiny Badge quest as memorable for me as possible. My first self-imposed rule as I entered Uva Academy for the 3rd time was to get my first shiny Pokemon before reaching Mesagoza. Of course, in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the standard base odds for shiny Pokemon are 1 in 4,096. And to get my journey started, I chose Fuecoco, who was only there for me to do 3 things: defeat Nemona, defeat Arven, and to help me find and eventually catch my first shiny Pokemon for this badge quest. I had no particular first target in mind when I wanted to get my first shiny Pokemon for this badge quest, so I was ready to go for 4 hours or more if needed. Fortunately for me, I only needed 4 minutes. While fishing for items on the ground, I stopped after backtracking, and out of the corner of my eye, I found my first shiny partner of the badge quest, a shiny Scatterbug. After carefully battling the shiny Scatterbug with Fuecoco, I managed to catch it with a trusty Pokeball, and then I can start making final preparations before entering the gates of the city of Mesagoza. For this badge quest, I decided to name every shiny I caught within my journey after a television game show. And with the defense-lowering nature I got with Scatterbug, I decided to name it Jeopardy! For starters, the bug type is considered by many the weakest type in Pokemon. It was finally time for me to enter the gate of this great city of Mesagoza, the largest city in the Paldea region. After entering this city for the first time, I decided to step back from where I came from to put my shiny Scatterbug into a very good training mission, before it eventually evolved into its final evolution. In order for me to stand a chance at getting my first badge, I decided to evolve Jeopardy all the way to Vivillon in preparation for my first badge. Nemona was kind enough to give me a Terror Orb, and I used it for the very first time against a couple of Team Star grunts. Also during the training mission with Vivillon, I taught it the TM for Struggle Bug, and I put it to good use to win its first important battle of the run, in defeating the second Team Star grunt on one single Struggle Bug. From there, I met up with Nemona again to get the map area for all 8 gyms in the Paldea region for the Victory Road story to kick off. Then I met with Arven in the cafeteria to get all 5 map areas where I will battle all the Titans for the Path of Legends storyline. Then I met up with all the students in the Uva Academy schoolyard to officially begin the treasure hunt. Then later on, I was able to get, by a mysterious figure, all 5 spots where the Team Star bosses will be at. And then, after hopping on my trusty sidekick, the awesome box legendary Miraidon, it was finally time to officially start my shiny badge quest. I leveled up Vivillon even more by battling in Terror Raid dens. Then I quickly made up my mind on where to go for my first badge. Onward to the city of Cortundo, where I would take on my first gym in Paldea. The first gym test was the olive roll, and I was able to push it into the goal after struggling a bit, passing my first gym test with flying colors. It was finally time to capture my first badge, as I challenged Bug Gym Leader Katie, who had her own Vivillon that she was feeding but didn't use on her team. So I decided to flex on Katie by using my own shiny Vivillon to sweep her team of bug types. Jeopardy not only is a bug type, it also doubles as a flying type, and it proved to be triple jeopardy for Katie's bugs. 5 gusts later, and I had my first badge in Paldea without breaking a sweat. After obtaining badge number 1, I decided to make my badge quest a no-holds-barred approach. For starters, I did a little bit of Pokemon home switching around to complete the Paldea Region Pokedex. Meeting with Professor Jock in one of the classrooms in Uva Academy, I was able to get heartfelt congratulations and the Shiny Charm, which lowers my odds to 1 in 1,365. After Director Clavel gave me my diploma, I knew exactly which Pokemon I wanted to get the most for my second shiny in the quest. Since Gardevoir is my favorite Pokemon and one of my channel mascots, I decided to hunt for shiny Kirlia on a beach near Levincia Town. For the first time in the badge quest, I decided to go the subway route and make a fairy level 1 encounter power sandwich. I knew I needed this psychic fairy type because of its awesome move coverage, which proved to be very valuable down the road in my shiny badge quest. But I was also ready to evolve the shiny Kirlia into a Gallade if it was a male due to all the traveling I was doing around Paldea, finding a Dawnstone. After 7 sandwich attempts, my chosen one, the shiny Kirlia, finally arrived. I decided to stop, save the game, and gaze upon the beauty of this shiny Kirlia, praying that it was a female, and if it was, I was going to evolve it into Gardevoir at level 30. Now it was time for the capture. After encountering the shiny Kirlia, I had exactly what I wanted, a female with the trace ability, and I proceeded to catch it in my favorite ball of all, the Luxury Ball. After catching shiny Kirlia, I had a team of 2 for the first time in the shiny badge quest. I decided to take on Brashus, the grass-type gym leader in Artisan Town. But after seeing Kirlia had a defense-lowering nature, there were some concerns, but I didn't let it stop me, as I sent Kirlia and Vivillon into battle against Brashus. I found the Icy Wind TM and taught it to Kirlia for the battle in hopes of getting badge number 2. My goal was to have Kirlia sweep the gym in hopes of protecting Vivillon from Sudowoodo. Even though it's a grass Terra, it's still a rock type. And with Vivillon being quad weak to rock, I knew it was going to be a problem if Kirlia was knocked out, which ultimately she was. But Vivillon had 1 struggle bug left to finish off the fight and earn my second badge of the quest. For my third shiny in the badge quest, and knowing I was going to take on Stony Cliff Titan Claw for my third badge, I decided to make a fighting type level 2 encounter power sandwich in the hopes of getting another shiny mascot. The target, Riolu, who has one of the more adorable golden shinies around, and I know I needed a Lucario down the line. On the first attempt of the sandwich, I did indeed get a shiny fighting type I needed to counter Cloth, but it wasn't Riolu. It was one of the brand new Pokemon from Generation 9, Palmo, who evolves from Palmy to gain the fighting type as it's a pure electric type. And I decided to go ahead and catch it. I decided to use the fastball to capture Palmo and add him to my team. After catching my newest team member, I finally named Curlia after my favorite game show, The Price is Right. When taking a look at Palmo's nature, which ended up being the impish nature, which boosts defense, which could come in handy for what's to come. And while training with Palmo and Mesagoza and taking the 1,000 steps needed to evolve it into Palmot, it spun around my character like a top, so I decided to nickname Palmo Wheel of Fortune. Palmo did not need to buy a vowel in this battle against Stony Cliff Titan Cloth. All it needed to do was use 3 low sweeps for a decisive victory. While Wheel of Fortune and I celebrated our first Titan triumph, we helped Arvin retrieve the sweet Herba Mystica, and in turn I got my 3rd badge. For shiny number 4 in this badge quest, I decided to take on my first Bass Outbreak, a method in Scarlet and Violet that I relied heavily upon during this entire journey. For my first Bass Outbreak of the badge quest, I needed a fire type for later on, and I decided to go for Charcadet, another Pokemon that debuted in the Paldea region. Since Charcadets are overly aggressive, I needed to find a safe spot to stop and save before encountering the shiny Charcadet. With one of the easier to spot shinies, all you have to do is find the eyes and make sure they're blue. And in this case, the eyes have it. Using a 4th different Pokeball for my 4th shiny, I decided upon the repeat ball since I liked the animation, but there was still plenty of work to be done. So I went all the way to Alfrenader Town, severely underleveled, to take on Wild Sinistea. With 1 Sinistea chip in hand, I needed to get 9 more, and in doing so, after using a lot of X attacks and X speeds, I decided to go to this trader at Zebapico to pick up the Malicious Armor, a new item that debuted in Gen 9 for Pokemon Violet players to evolve their Charcadet into the Fire Ghost type Ceruledge. However, Ceruledge was not needed for badge number 4 as I brought my first 3 shinies over to the Team Star Dark Base. It was time to wipe the second squad off the map. In less than 2 minutes, Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, and The Price is Right, with 1 round of healing, made short work of 30 Pokemon in our very first Star Barrage, which had no other alternative for the boss to come out of hiding. Arriving in style via a tricked-out Revivroom, in comes Team Star Dark Leader Giacomo. His first Pokemon is a Poniard, a Dark Steel type, which made it an easy choice for me to start with Wheel of Fortune, and Palmo decimated Poniard with a quad-effective low sweep, and effectively beat the Starmobile down for our first victory over a Team Star boss. By virtue of sending the Dark Team Starmobile into the scrap heap, it was time to collect badge number 4. Before challenging for my 5th badge, and eventually catching my 5th shiny, Price is Right finally evolved into my highly coveted female shiny Gardevoir. A mass outbreak opened up for Cloth at the exact same spot where I earned my 3rd badge when I defeated the Stony Cliff Titan version. It did take a while, but after a dozen picnic resets after 60 Cloth were knocked out, I finally found my 2nd favorite shiny of Generation 9 behind the Titan. Cloths are normally aggressive outside of mass outbreaks, but since this was a mass outbreak, it made it easy for me to stay calm and find a good spot to save while taking a gander at this blue shiny crab. After staring at Cloth for a few seconds, I made my move. During my first playthrough of Violet, after beating the story, I caught my first shiny Cloth by a sparkling power sandwich. But in this shiny badge quest, I'm not relying on sparkling power for any of my sandwiches. And just like the first shiny Cloth, I used a dive ball to catch this one for my 5th partner in the shiny badge quest. And since Rock is super effective against flying, this shiny Pokemon with the first neutral nature of any of my team members was the perfect mon to use to take down my next target, the Open Sky Titan Bombardier, a Gen 9 dark flying type that I simply can't stand to deal with in the wild, especially when I want to do Masuda Method egg hunts in Alphanauta Town. So I wanted to put away this foul creature as quickly as possible. Cloth gladly obliged by destroying Bombardier with 2 rock tombs for an easy victory. Helping Arvin retrieve the bitter Herba Mystica, Badge 5 was as good as mine. For my 6th hunt in this Pokemon Violet Shiny Badge quest, I decided to make another sandwich. This time, a Dragon Level 2 Encounter Power sandwich inside a cave near the Ice Wren Shrine. In Pokemon Violet, in this cave, you have 2 Dragon types that appear where you could potentially get a shiny. In this case, it was either the Violet exclusive Bagon or the dragon I was eventually targeting, Gible. I had my Switch zoomed in while looking at all the spawns inside the cave, and from the upper right corner, you can see the shiny Gible just roaming around. It took me a while to figure it out, but eventually I found my new shiny target. Knowing that the Gibles and Bagons are aggressive no matter where you find them, I knew I needed to act fast and reach the shiny. With the combination of The Price is Right and Cerulege, now nicknamed after another one of my favorite game shows, Match Game, I caught shiny Gible in a Heavy Ball, another one of my favorites that has an awesome animation whenever the Pokemon pops out of the Heavy Ball. This shiny Gible had the attack boosting, defense lowering, lonely nature. And after a few more Terra Den battling, I evolved Gible into shiny Gabite and nicknamed it Card Sharks, taking my first full team of 6 in this quest to Levincia and entered the Iono Zone. Iono may be one of my favorite live streamers in the gaming industry, as I decided to wow the viewers, starting with my shiny Cloth, now nicknamed after the game show The $100,000 Pyramid, to take down her watch roll, concerning it's an electric flying type. Using the same ambush tactics that eradicated the Open Sky Titan, Cloth easily handled watch roll, setting the stage for my new team member Card Sharks, who bulldozed his way to a pair of one-hit KOs of both Bellibolt and Luxio. With only her ace Pokemon remaining, Iono called upon my favorite ghost type, Mismagius. With the Levitate ability and terastallizing into electric, Mismagius has 0 weaknesses. But that didn't stop Wheel of Fortune from taking a bite out of any chances of an Iono comeback, earning me a perfect screenshot and my 6th badge in the Violet Shiny Badge quest. Right after getting the Electric Gym Leader Iono's badge, I knew I needed to go for a water type to take on Team Star's Fire Base. And almost immediately after leaving Levincia Town, I looked to the water to find an immediate answer, in the form of a shiny blue duck. I was looking to find a spot to make a fairy encounter sandwich again, this time to go for shiny Meryl, but this is a random encounter, so I had to take what the game was giving me. Psyduck's evolution doesn't have one of the best shinies in the world, so I went ahead and used a quick ball for the capture, and I don't care. Whatever Pokeball you need that is best for the job, you might as well use it. And in this case, I wanted to get it over with and take advantage of the fact that I now have a water type to take on the Team Star Shutter Squad. Psyduck was my second shiny of the badge quest with a neutral nature, which was perfect, and so was the TM for Rain Dance that I found just outside of the Team Star Fire hideout. I wasted no time in teaching my now fully evolved shiny Golduck, nicknamed after the TV game show Press Your Luck, as a valuable tool in taking down the Team Star Fire base and my favorite boss of Team Star, Mela. At the very start of the fight, Mela brings out her Torkoal, the lead Pokemon that sets up the sun with the Drought ability, which is exactly why I got the Rain Dance TM in the first place. Predictably, Mela's Torkoal sets up the sun with its Drought ability, but Press Your Luck put an end to it by summoning Mother Nature and washing the drought away, powering up its own water pulse to one-shot Torkoal and eventually bring down the Team Starmobile. After taking pathetic damage from Blazing Torque, one more water pulse sealed the deal for my 7th badge in the Violet Shiny Badge Quest. Remember when I said early on that I was taking a no-holds-barred approach in my Pokemon Violet Shiny Badge Quest? Well, that also includes taking a plane and heading to the land of Kitakami in the Hidden Treasure of Area Zero Teal Mask DLC, as I ventured out to Kitakami to find a grass type. A mass outbreak opened up for a certain grass bug type from the Unova region. I decided to jump at the opportunity to find myself a shiny Sawaddle. After knocking out 60 Sawaddle with the shiny charm, increasing my odds in the mass outbreak to 1 in 812, I eventually found my newest shiny partner in the badge quest. The shiny may be barely noticeable, but I have a sharp eye when it comes to doing mass outbreaks, so once again I made my move for the capture. And keeping up with the theme of trying to catch a shiny Pokemon in a different Pokeball, I used the level ball to catch shiny Sawaddle. Sawaddle was my second shiny bug in the badge quest, joining my only full odd shiny in the run, Vivillon. And just like the shiny Gabite that's currently on the team, Sawaddle has the lonely nature. And after beating a few wild Pokemon and feeding it some berries, I was able to get Sawaddle all the way to its final evolution, Leavanny, which was just in the nick of time for my next badge, and taking on the water gym leader Kofu at Kaskarafa. Leading with Veluza, which has the move Pluck, a flying move that is quite effective against Leavanny, I decided to come at Kofu with a seemingly foolproof strategy by going with Protect on turn 1 to bait out Veluza's Pluck, thinking that Veluza outspeeds Leavanny. Then on the next turn, I had Leavanny unleash Fellstinger, a base 50 power bug move that's 100% accurate, boosting Leavanny's attack up 3 stages after it one-shot Veluza. It was game over from there, as Leavanny took out Wub Trio with a +3 Trailblaze, then eliminated the Water Terra Crabominable with a +3 Razor Leaf to pick up my 4th gym badge and 8th overall badge in the quest. For the second straight time in my Violet Shiny Badge quest, I went back to Kitakami to reunite with an old friend, the first shiny Pokemon I ever caught in any Pokemon game, which was Pokemon Gold on the Game Boy Color, and that would be the normal type Sentret. Once again, I took to the Mass Outbreak method to find shiny Sentret after knocking out 60+. And after finding my first normal type in the Violet Badge quest, it was time to once again make my move after staring at Sentret for a little bit. And there was only one Pokeball I had in mind for the capture, and that of course is the Love Ball. No critical capture was needed this time around. This Sentret had the hardy nature, making it the 3rd shiny Pokemon in the quest with a neutral nature. And after more leveling up by battling in Terra Raid dens, Sentret evolved to Furret. The Pokemon I used to catch Shiny Sentret was Match Game by Shiny Ceruledge, as it proceeded to solo and knock out the lurking Steel Titan Earthworm. After winning the first phase of the bout with Flame Charge, I used a move taught to Ceruledge by TM Lava Plume, which was not only good enough to knock out Earthworm, it also finished off Arven's Toedscool in one hit. This was the third win over a Titan, which allowed Arven to pick up the salty Herba Mystica and hand me my 9th badge in the quest. Continuing on my Pokemon Violet Shiny Badge quest, I was able to finally evolve Wheel of Fortune into its final evolution after finally taking the 1,000 steps needed to evolve into Palmot. More on Palmot later on. While hopping on Miraidon to swim across water and unlock some spots on the Paldea map that I hadn't before, like Secluded Beach here at this Poke Center, I got an unexpected gift in the form of another shiny random encounter. I already had a fighting type on my team in Shiny Palmot, but now I got a second one. It's Shiny Cabrawler. It was nighttime, so I decided to catch Cabrawler in a Dusk Ball, making it the 10th straight shiny in this quest where I used a different Pokeball each time. With the bad luck I was getting on defense-lowering natures, this shiny Cabrawler, which I nicknamed off the game show Tattletales, ended up with a special defense boosting nature, lowering its attack. And while finding an Ice Stone, unlocking another spot to fly to in the future in Glossiada's Grasp, I was able to evolve my shiny Tattletales immediately into Shiny Crabominable, making it a fighting ice type. And speaking of fighting, that's the one weakness of this normal type gym leader, everyone's favorite everyday man, Larry. Doing all that traveling around Paldea gave Palmot the Treasure Hunter nickname, meaning it now has the item finder mark for picking up many items on the ground. And speaking of finding things, I found the perfect strategy to build upon, taking on Larry's lead Pokemon, Kamala. I decided to use Bulk Up to build up Palmot's attack and defense. It took a slam on turn 1, so I used a second Bulk Up knowing Kamala loves to go for Yawn. Then I decided on a third Bulk Up, and taking slam once again, it put my Palmot to sleep, but only for a few seconds, because I gave Palmot a held Chesto Berry. I immediately terrestrialized into fighting, and it was checkmate. I also taught Wheel of Fortune to TM Brick Break right before the fight, and at +3 attack and defense, there was nothing Larry can do from stopping Palmot from turning Medali into Brick Break City. As Kamala, the Dunsparce, and normal Terra Staraptor all went down to 3 consecutive Brick Breaks for my 5th gym badge in the quest. I was finally at double digits with badge number 10. While thinking on where to go next, hey look! Miraidon can breakdance while doing handstands! And now back to the Pokemon Violet Shiny Badge quest, as I decided on looking for a flying type. Since I didn't have one at the time, out of the 10 shinies I've got so far, for number 11, I didn't have to look far, as I did a mass outbreak for Rookie D. But I didn't get shiny Rookie D in a mass outbreak. It just showed up in a pack with a Corvisquire. Rookie D is one of my top 3 regional birds of all time in Pokemon, as it debuted in the Galar region playing Pokemon Sword and Shield. So I knew I needed one because it evolves into the Steel-type Corviknight for its final evolution. My streak of catching shiny Pokemon in different Pokeballs continued for this quest as I used a Heal Ball for shiny Rookie D. My next choice for my 11th badge was going to be the Quaking Earth Titan Iron Treads, which is exclusive to Pokemon Violet. Pokemon Scarlet players get Great Tusk instead, a ground fighting type. After more Terra Raid farming for EXP candies, I managed to evolve Rookie D all the way to shiny Corviknight, I named it Family Feud off another one of my favorite game shows, then immediately changed it after getting a shiny Pokemon later on in the run, and you'll see what I mean later. Now on to the battle with Iron Treads. Because of this futuristic Donphan's high attack stack, I relied on a tag team approach to take it down, starting with my shiny Leavanny, which I nicknamed after the game show lingo, by using 2 charms to lower its attack to -4. The first phase ended with a resounding Hydro Pump boosted by Rain Dance from Pressure Luck, my shiny Golduck, and immediately prepared for the second phase. I started with Leavanny again to lower its attack by 2 stages with Charm, but this time I didn't go with Golduck. I beat 5 trainers in the Asado Desert to get the TM for Earthquake, which of course I taught my shiny Gabite Card Sharks. Earthquake proved to be destructive right away, as it one-shot Arvin Scovillain. 2 more quakes later, and down went the quaking Earth Titan Iron Treads for my 4th victory over a Titan in the Pokemon Violet Shiny Badge Quest. After Arvin and I claimed the Sour Herba Mystica, it was onward to move on to Shiny and Badge number 12. A little bit of a foreshadowing tribute to what will be my 12th Shiny in this quest, and eventually my 12th badge as well, as I ran into a mass outbreak for my favorite ghost of all time. Actually, it's evolved form, but I still like shiny Misdreavus. And after a few minutes, I was able to find the shiny Misdreavus. For my plans of catching Misdreavus, ghosts cannot be hit with False Swipe, but there is a way around it. For starters, I used my shiny Golduck, Pressure Luck, with Soak to turn Misdreavus into a water type by dousing Misdreavus with water. Then I used my shiny Match Game Ceruledge with False Swipe to weaken it. And before catching Misdreavus, I relied on my shiny Price is Right Gardevoir to finally catch Misdreavus in a Dream Ball. Using Hypnosis to put Misdreavus to sleep was critical, as my streak of catching shiny Pokemon in different Pokeballs continued to 12. This Misdreavus had a speed-lowering nature, but another defense-boosting nature. As I reached Montenevera to challenge for my next badge, I evolved Misdreavus with a Duskstone hidden right behind the gym, and I had my shiny Mismagius. But that wasn't the only evolution, as my shiny Card Shark's Gabite finally reached level 48 to evolve the Garchomp, which was perfect for taking on the MIC of RIP, Ghost Gym Leader Rhyme. This is the only gym battle in Paldea that is a double battle, which makes it sometimes difficult to prepare than a singles battle. Upon evolution, Garchomp learns the dark move Crunch, which I used on the first turn to break the disguise of one of Rhyme's leads, Mimikyu. And once Match Game 1 hit KO's Banette, it sets up this gym's gimmick. Whenever one of your Pokemon knocks out an opposing Pokemon, both your Pokemon get a boost to their attack and special attack. A +1 Crunch eliminates Houndstone from the equation, and another Shadow Claw from Match Game takes out Mimikyu, leaving Rhyme with only her ace Pokemon once it terrestrializes into a Ghost Terra, Toxtricity. But both Garchomp and Ceruledge are now at a +2 in attack and special attack. Not that I needed to, I terrestrialized Ceruledge into Terra Fire to eliminate its ghost weakness, but Garchomp was the fastest Pokemon on the field, as one more Crunch finishes off Toxtricity, earning me my 6th gym badge. It was a dominant performance worthy of a thumbs up from Rhyme, and my 12th badge in the quest. Early on in the badge quest, I tried to go for one of my shiny mascots, Riolu, but with a fighting level 2 encounter power sandwich at South Province Area 2, I ended up getting shiny Palmo instead. Even though I had 2 fighting types and a steel type out of the 12 shinies I've gotten so far, I was desperate. I even learned the back jump technique with Miraidon to help me get to an area at South Province Area 4 where a Riolu mass outbreak popped up. After knocking out 60 Riolu, I was never leaving this area, even if it took me the entire week until I found my golden ticket to where I was going for next for my 13th badge. Per the custom in my Violet Shiny Badge quest, I stopped and saved to lock in the fact that Shiny Riolu has finally arrived, and I was also on a current streak of catching shiny Pokemon in different Pokeballs throughout the entire run, 12 in a row, and I had the perfect ball I wanted to use to catch Riolu for number 13, which was hardly lucky. Since Riolu evolves to Lucario by high friendship, it only made sense to catch this shiny Riolu in a friend ball. A critical capture on the only friend ball I had in the bag, and I had my shiny mascot number 2 in this badge quest. This Riolu, which debuted in the Sinnoh region, came with the attack-boosting Brave nature, which also lowered Riolu's speed, which wasn't a problem for what I had planned for my 13th badge. And after an intense training mission and one final vacuum wave of a wild Orthworm, I finally had my shiny Lucario. With this Pokemon now on my all-shiny squad, Lucario is the key to unlocking the perfect strategy of taking down Team Star Poison Master Atticus. His lead Pokemon Skuntank only has 3 moves, 2 of which can't even touch Lucario due to Lucario's steel immunity to poison. The only move Skuntank can hit Lucario with is the dark move Sucker Punch, which only has 5 power points. So the obvious goal was to stall Skuntank into using all 5 Sucker Punches. In doing so, I built up Lucario's attack all the way to +6 and its speed to +4 with 2 agilities and 3 swords dances. And once Skuntank was out of Sucker Punches, I did 1 more agility to boost Lucario's speed to a full +6, where Skuntank hopelessly used Toxic. Teaching Lucario the ground move Bulldoze by TM made this Team Star boss battle ridiculously academic, as Skuntank, Revavroom, Muck, and the Poison Starmobile all got shot down in 1 hit for a flawless victory, and my 13th badge in the Violet Shiny Badge quest. Despite having 2 shiny bug types and 1 shiny electric type in my collection, I still felt that wasn't enough. So I went back to Kitakami for the 3rd and final time in my Violet Shiny Badge quest to go after Charjabug in a mass outbreak. After knocking out over 60 and nearly 2 hours of searching, I was able to find my newest shiny spark plug. With 5 Thunderstones in tow, I knew I needed a shiny Vikavolt for not only where I was going to next for my 14th badge in this quest, but for long-term purposes. For those who aren't in the know, Vikavolt has a very high special attack stat, even higher than my favorite Pokemon Gardevoir at base 145. So this bug packs a powerful punch, and I caught this shiny Charjabug in the Safari Ball to continue my streak of catching shiny Pokemon in different Pokeballs to 14 straight. And to make matters even better, this Charjabug came with the serious neutral nature. I immediately used one of my 5 Thunderstones to evolve shiny Charjabug into Vikavolt, naming it after the game show Hollywood Squares, as I went back to Alfornado Town to take on Psychic Gym Leader Tulip, where I brought in all 3 of my shiny bugs into battle. I started out this bout with Lingo, my shiny Leavanny, against Farigiraf. And 2 X Scissors later, I set up my date with Destiny. That's right, it's a Gardevoir mirror match, as I brought in Price is Right, my shiny Gardevoir, to deal with Tulip's own Gardevoir. I earned the Ghost TM Shadow Ball after defeating Rhyme out in Montenevera, and I taught it to Gardevoir, using 2 of them to take out Tulip's Gardevoir to win the mirror match. Garden Forest performance sets the stage for my newest member to my shiny team, Vikavolt. Hollywood Squares tanked 2 Psychics before destroying a Spathra with a powerful Bug Buzz. The first shiny Pokemon I caught before beginning my treasure hunt, Vivillon, was back on the scene. After eating a Moonblast, Vivillon's terrestrialized Bug Buzz wiped out Psychic Terraflorges for the victory, and my 7th gym badge. A satisfying win for bug types everywhere, and my 14th badge in the quest. For my 15th shiny in this badge quest, I was able to get a mass outbreak for one of the most popular Pokemon of all time, Eevee. The process of finding shiny Eevee in a mass outbreak was tedious, cause only 6 were spawning on screen, where you can mainly get 15 different Pokemon on screen, as I was doing the town reset method to try to get more Eevees to spawn on screen near Medali Town. However, I remained patient and persistent. Eventually, shiny Eevee popped up on screen. Just my 2nd normal type shiny in the quest, following Sentret, now a fully evolved Furret. Unfortunately, this is where my streak of catching shiny Pokemon in different Pokeballs ended. I was going for a Moonball, but accidentally misclicked and used my 2nd of 2 Dream Balls. But since this quest was on its 7th day, I accepted fate and took the shiny Eevee along with me. How appropriate that this shiny Eevee had the relaxed nature, which was exactly how I was feeling throughout the entire mass outbreak. With 4 badges left to collect, 2 Team Star bosses and 1 Titan, I decided to take on this last gym to qualify for the Pokemon League, as I went to Glaciato Mountain to take on Ice-type gym leader Grusha. For the 2nd straight gym, I decided to use 4 different Pokemon for this gym battle, starting with Tattletales, which is making its debut. The shiny Crabominable defeated Frostmoth with 1 close combat, and since both its defenses were lowered, I decided to switch to Pyramid, my shiny Cloth. Due to Frostmoth's Tailwind, Beartic was able to strike first with Earthquake, but Cloth took it like a champ before defeating Beartic with 2 straight super effective hits, Rock Slide followed by a Metal Claw. In came Pawmot, my shiny Wheel of Fortune, to take out Titan with 1 swift Brick Break. For the final showdown, I brought out Match Game, my shiny Ceruledge, terrestrializing into fire, clicking on its signature move Bitter Blade to deliver a decisive 1-hit KO of Ice Terra Altaria for my 8th and final gym badge. I now earned the right to challenge the Pokemon League, but my dreams of becoming Paldea's new top champion will have to wait until I get 3 more shinies and 3 more badges. My Pokemon Violet badge quest rolls on. To officially kick off my next hunt, I evolved shiny Eevee into Umbreon, nicknaming it after the game show Tic-Tac-Toe, for my first dark shiny. I was also in need of a poison shiny, so I took to Casseroya Lake, considering Kroguk and Toxicroak were in this area. Once again, I decided to take what the game gave me, as by virtue of a random encounter, I found a Violet exclusive Gulpin in a pack with a Swalot, and one of the Gulpin decided to show up shiny. I had never used Gulpin or a Swalot in a Pokemon playthrough before, so I wanted to give this Pokemon a chance. And taking a cue from Team Star Poison boss Atticus, I caught this shiny Gulpin in a Timer Ball. In my first playthroughs of Scarlet and Violet, both during and post-game, Casseroya Lake was the leading place for me to get random encounter shiny Pokemon, and it paid dividends for me once again in this badge quest, as I caught a shiny Gulpin with the Gentle Nature, a special defense boosting and defense lowering nature. I immediately fed it a rare candy to evolve Gulpin into Swalot and nicknamed it after the Nickelodeon game show Double Dare. Poison is one of the two weaknesses suffered by fairy types, which made it a logical decision to go after Team Star Fairy Boss Ortega next. Fairy's other weakness is the Steel types, so I brought out my newly nicknamed password, the Shiny Corviknight, which was formerly nicknamed after one of my all-time favorite game shows, Family Feud. I started off this bout by lowering Azumarill's defense by 2 stages with Screech. Azumarill retaliated by lowering the attack of Corviknight with Charm, and after being lowered down to 4 HP, I brought out the new Family Feud, Shiny Lucario. After taking a play rough, I made the call for Lucario to use Meteor Mash. Family Feud responded brilliantly with a critical hit to wipe out Azumarill, then immediately one-hit KO'd Wigglytuff as well. Unfortunately, the attack triggered Wigglytuff's cute charm, so it was time for Double Dare to take center stage for the first time. After taking the crunch and having its attack lowered by Baby Doll Eyes, the special attacking Sludge Bomb from Swalot was enough to put down Dodge Bun, and against the Team Fairy Starmobile, I decided to come up with a secret weapon. Holding a Lumberry after being confused by Confuse Ray and hitting a Sludge Bomb, I decided for Shiny Swalot to use the move Belch, a powerful poison move that is only accessible after eating a berry. That dealt the final blow to send the 4th Starmobile into the scrap heap, and Ortega had no choice but to surrender my 16th badge in the quest. I had no prior target in mind for my 17th Shiny in my first badge quest, but after getting another random encounter, I was greeted by a Shiny I was extremely familiar with, due to catching several Shiny Bergmite in Pokemon Legends Arceus. After taking a quick check to make sure my Shiny Cerulege had False Swipe in its moveset, I immediately jumped at the opportunity that presented itself. For this Shiny in the badge quest, I decided to use the Premier Ball for a critical capture. Bergmite and its evolved form Avalugg are notoriously known for having a high defense and a low special defense. I now had a second Ice Shiny out of the 17 caught in this badge quest, and it had another neutral nature. After quickly evolving Shiny Bergmite and nicknaming it after the game show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, it was time for me to head back to Castle Royal Lake to challenge the False Dragon Titan. 3 sparks from Wheel of Fortune, my Shiny Palmont ended the first part of the battle with Dondozo, one of many Pokemon you can encounter in the treacherous waters of Castle Royal Lake. Considering the last 2 Titan battles featured accidentally knocking out 2 of Arven's Pokemon, I decided to make a pact with Arven to not let it happen a 3rd straight Titan battle during Phase 2 against Dondozo, as I brought out Lingo, my Shiny Leavanny. With the combination of Arven's Greedent weakening the defense of Dondozo with 2 Tail Whips, and lowering Dondozo's attack with Leavanny's Charm, I decided to terrestrialize into Terra Grass, and with 1 Swords Dance boost, a swift Leaf Blade knocked out the False Dragon Titan, forcing to summon the real Dragon Titan, the Dragon Water-type Tatsugiri. I decided to bring out Price is Right, my Shiny Gardevoir, and immediately terrestrialize into Fairy, weakening the Tatsugiri with 2 powerful Moonblast. And after taking an Icy Wind, Arven's Greedent was able to get the KO with a powerful takedown. Greedent also survived recoil damage to itself, as I was able to celebrate my 5th and final victory over a Titan in the Path of Legends storyline. Arven picked up the spicy Herba Mystica, and I collected my 17th badge with 1 more to go. The one missing ingredient in my Pokemon Violet Shiny Badge quest was a Shiny Starter Pokemon. So I went to the fanciest restaurant in Leventia Town, had myself an Egg Power Level 2 feast to set up for the one method I hadn't done all throughout the entire run, a Masuda Method egg hunt for a Shiny Starter. As you know, Fuecoco, Sprigatito, and Quaxley at the beginning of the game are Shiny Lock, but I didn't want any of those 3 for the final piece to the puzzle of what will ultimately be the team I was going to have carry me through the Elite Four, the Champion Battle, and the final boss. I brought over a foreign Ditto and a Beast Ball Greninja I caught after winning one of the special 7-star Terra Raid events in Scarlet and Violet for Shiny Froakie. I only prepared 127 eggs, and this is what happened on egg 96. A very sudden shiny Froakie hatched from its egg. Masuda Method egg odds in Scarlet and Violet are 1 in 683 without the shiny charm, and 1 in 512 with the shiny charm, which I was working on due to my no-holds-barred approach in this shiny badge quest. This Froakie came with the awesome protein ability and another neutral nature. For the final stretch run, I went back to the area near the Team Star Ferry base up at North Province Area 3, made a level 1 normal encounter power sandwich to KO some Chanseys and Blissies to level up Froakie all the way to Shiny Greninja. With final preparations done, I hurriedly made my way through the dangerous bamboo forest at North Province Area 2, picked up a few helpful items along the way, and set myself up for the 5th and final Team Star base. With my carefully constructed team specifically designed for this battle alone, it was time to wipe the Cap Squad off the map for my 18th and final badge. The 5th boss of Team Star was Airy, a fighting type master with a team of Pokemon that hit hard first and ask questions later. So I started with one of my special attacking heavy hitters, my shiny Gardevoir. Since Airy's Pokemon is Toxicroak, a fighting poison type, I let Gardevoir unleash the first devastating blow of the match with a quad-effective Psychic for a one-hit KO. Then I brought out one of my best defenders, Password by Shiny Corviknight. It ate a close combat from Annihilate before eliminating that threat with a Drill Peck. After tanking another close combat, a powerful critical hit Brave Bird wiped out Passimian. Since Airy's final Pokemon before the Starmobile was her own Lucario, I decided to go for another flex job. It was time to play the feud with my own shiny Lucario, and the survey says Drain Punch was the #1 answer to be victorious. After starting this fight, I let the Price is Right finish it, with one more Terrestrialized Moonblast from Gardevoir, seemingly putting an end to Team Star once and for all. The significance of this victory was that Airy showered me with some well-deserved respect and my 18th and final badge in the quest. It was time to finish this story. With all 18 badges and a shiny Pokemon for each one to show for it, it was full speed ahead for the rest of my journey. I defeated Arven and his revitalized Mabostiff to complete the Path of Legend storyline. Then it was on to finish Operation Starfall. With an awesome display of assorted Pokemon specifically tailor-made for the important battles down the road, 2 of the 3 important stories in Pokemon Violet were complete. But for me to reach the end of my victory road, there was only room for these 6. The Price is Right, my shiny Luxury Ball Gardevoir with the moves Moonblast, Shadow Ball, Energy Ball, and Psychic. Family Feud, my Friend Ball shiny Lucario with Brick Break, Meteor Mash, Earthquake, and Zen Headbutt. Match Game, my shiny Repeat Ball Ceruledge with Bitter Blade, Shadow Claw, Night Slash, and Iron Head. Loteria Loca, my shiny Beast Ball Greninja with Water Shuriken, Dark Pulse, Ice Beam, and Toxic Spikes. Card Sharks, my shiny Heavy Ball Garchomp with Earthquake, Poison Jab, Dragon Claw, and Stealth Rock. And finally, Hollywood Squares, my shiny Safari Ball Vikavolt with Flash Cannon, Thunderbolt, Bug Buzz, and Energy Ball. The stars were properly aligned as I made my way to the Pokemon League. And once I met with top champion Gita, the second I entered through that door to take my champion assessment, there was no turning back. At this point of my very first ever badge quest, I treated it now almost like a Nuzlocke. So if any of my 6 Pokemon fainted, I would never use it again for the remainder of this Violet Shiny Badge quest. So I was ready and willing to go all out with my stacked Shiny team, equipping them with the best TMs possible throughout the entire run that I thought was beneficial in order to become the newest champion in Paldea. Greninja hard carried against Rika and her ground types, while the trio of Ceruledge, Lucario, and Garchomp destroyed Poppy's steel types. Vikavolt and Gardevoir were the MVPs against Larry and Hassel respectively, as I was able to mow down the Elite Four without suffering a single loss of a team member. In order to establish team harmony, I made sure all 6 of my team members got a chance to shine, literally, as I took my final test in battling top champion Gita for the right to become the newest champion of Paldea. The final results proved to be exactly how I imagined it, as every single Pokemon on my team scored a KO in this fight. Even Gardevoir scored a crit with a Thunderbolt to knock out Veluza, impressing even champion Gita. The final KO belonged to my shiny Garchomp, as a terrestrialized earthquake was too much for Gita's Ace Glimora to handle, showering the field with toxic spikes and earning me the right to call myself Paldea's new champion. But I was not done yet. I immediately got challenged by the previous champion, Nemona, and the result was the same as before, as all 6 Pokemon scored a KO, with Vikavolt delivering the final blow to the Alscarada, and I became the ultimate champion of Paldea, earning some high praise from Nemona, completing the Victory Road storyline. But I had little time to rest, let alone celebrate, as I got an important call from Arwen, taking me to Area 0. No longer my trusty sidekick, now my #1 companion, Miraidon was able to take me, Arven, Nemona, and Penny on anything but a joyride, as we made it all the way to the deepest part of Area 0 for the final showdown with the final boss, Professor Turo. Turo's team is fully loaded with Paradox Pokemon of the future, making this last bout anything but a cakewalk. I knew I needed to bring my A-game for this final showdown, or else. The first Pokemon Turo sent out was the futuristic Volcarona, the fire-poison Iron Moth, a special attacking behemoth. So I knew I needed to start the battle with Garchomp, considering Moth is quad weak to ground. An early critical hit Earthquake scored the first KO of the bout. Knowing that Garchomp is quad weak to ice, Turo sent out Iron Bundle, a futuristic Delibird, next. I countered with Hollywood Squares, my shiny Vikavolt, and one swift Thunderbolt instantly put Bundle down for the count. Card Sharks was brought back in to deal with Turo's third Paradox Pokemon, the Rock Electric type Iron Thorns, a futuristic Tyranitar, another Pokemon that is quad weak to ground. The Thorns can't handle the tremors from underneath its seat, scoring another easy victory for the Chomp, who I kept in the battle to deal with another scarier, bulkier Pokemon, the futuristic Hariyama Iron Hands. Despite faking out Garchomp and getting a flinch, it still went down to a single Earthquake. Once again, it was time to play the feud as I brought in shiny Lucario to deal with the futuristic Hydreigon, Iron Jugulis. In hindsight, it was probably a bad idea, as Jugulis outsped Lucario and hit a powerful flamethrower that brought Lucario down to under half its HP. Lucario clapped back with an Ice Punch, but knowing Lucario could not take another flamethrower, I immediately subbed out to a Pokemon that's immune to fire due to its Flash Fire ability. I was still taking a risk bringing in Match Game my shiny Ceruledge to deal with Jugulis. Even though Ceruledge absorbed the flamethrower, one of Iron Jugulis' types is Dark, so I knew a Dark Pulse was coming. Somehow Ceruledge lived to tail the tail, and now the Bitter Blade was slightly boosted due to Flash Fire, which was just enough to eliminate Iron Jugulis. And now the stage was set for the true final showdown, as I brought in Price is Right, my shiny Gardevoir, to deal with Turo's final and most dangerous Pokemon, the Gardevoir Gallade Futuristic Fusion Iron Valiant, who immediately gets its attack heightened by holding a booster energy, activating its Quirk Drive. And since shiny Gardevoir's Terra is Fairy and not Psychic, I knew Iron Valiant was going to strike Gardevoir down with a super effective Poison Jab. The question was, how super effective can it be? incredible. It was a critical hit that brought Gardevoir down all the way to 1 HP, and with the blessing of Arceus and the power of friendship forged at the beginning of my treasure hunt, Gardevoir miraculously survived. With one final Moonblast, it was time to prove to Turo that there's no better time than the here and now. And with that decisive blow, I can truly say I have conquered my very first Pokemon Gaming Shiny Badge quest, thanks to Gardevoir's dramatic triumph over Iron Valiant, proving that the price is always right. The final curtain call belonged to Miraidon, as it was able to win a civil war with its bully brother for the final exclamation point, putting a climactic end to the tyrannic ways of AI Professor Turo. I had a lot of fun in doing my very first Pokemon Gaming Shiny Badge Quest. A special thank you to each and every one of you who decided to take on this opportunity of seeing this, and I was glad to share this experience with you. An extra special thank you to everyone who allowed me to reach 1,000 subscribers on my YouTube gaming channel. Another special thank you to Ember Z Painter for my opening thumbnail video. She's an awesome streamer too, so be sure to give her page a like and subscribe to her channel as well. And if you truly like what you saw here, please leave a like and subscribe to this channel. And if you want me to take on another challenge or another Shiny Badge quest with full odds for the entire run, be sure to leave a comment if you like. As always, thank you, take care, and God bless you all.